Hello, Riley. First up, first up to bat. And Riley says, great videos and outlook. Thank you. You're quite welcome. Riley, we have a protocol on the live chats, regardless if I know you guys or not. It's gender, age, and where you're tuning in from. Three little things like M for male, then age, let's say, I don't know, your case, I guess 27, and then wherever it is, UK, Australia, uh, Dubai, France, Germany, wherever it is, you just put that. So three things: age, no, gender, age, where are you tuning in from? And by the way, let me know if you can hear me, because um, recently my system doesn't recognize Scarlett 212, which I always use as a high-end microphone, and it just doesn't recognize it. So I don't know what's going on with it till I figure it out. Oh, yes, yes, Canada. Yes, I remember now. Alberta, is it? Oilers. I'm not sensitive about hockey, but go Oilers for tonight. Canucks, of course, it's my hometown, as you know. But we will be gracious host, so Oilers it is. So, Riley, what's your background? Uh, Mom and dad, immigrant from somewhere, like the most of us, or you are closer to the most Canadian as you could be, like you're, a few generation in. And Arjun says, male 26, India. Hi, Meran. Hello, Arjun. Good of you to join us. And Riley says, I just watched your Pebble video. Oh, yeah. So you watched the original one, the one with 350,000 views or something. But I re-uploaded it with little new bells and whistles, like, little NA showing up, CL showing up, and then have a, intro saying, please join and click on like, which I don't have in most videos. But so I'm just becoming, technically savvy. Yeah, that video has got lots of attention, even though our channel is invisible, like we're lost in the sea of channels on YouTube. But that one has found its way, along with a few other ones: 60,000, 40,000, 30,000, 20,000, 30,000. But that one just, took the took the field by the storm. 350,000. That was a few years back. So maybe that will help us to help put us on the map somewhat. Arjun says, how can I find happiness? What do you mean, how can you find? Look in your drawers. My goodness, look into your, I don't know, drawers, or maybe your handbag. If you don't have a handbag, Arjun, you're a man, are you? So you may have a briefcase. Yeah, look there. Or in your car. Maybe you left it in your car. What do you mean, where can I find happiness? The closest place to you, where is it? From your accomplishment in life, the things that you want to do in this life, what you're all about, the things you're going to fix in yourself. That's where happiness is. The things that you want to accomplish and you take steps to accomplish them. That's where happiness is. Happiness is independent of anything else out there, other than, the reasonable health that we all expect for ourselves and our families. That's beside the point. But in the rest of it, it shouldn't be dependent on things that they have their own brain or they have their own choices, and it's other people that you're never in control of your happiness. So happiness is about becoming and training yourself to become a sailor, a captain, that can actually keep the balance of the boat in spite of the waves and the tsunamis and so on and so forth. So, because you can't stop the happenings of life, you can't stop the storms and tsunamis and rains and wind and all that, and you can't stop the waves of the ocean. But what you can do You can't control any of those, but what you can do to become a good captain, that you can keep the balance of your boat. So same thing, things happen in life that makes you sway this way, that way, or somebody else takes something away from you or gives something to you. So you're dependent on them to be happy or then become unhappy. Instead, because you can't control that, you turn yourself in someone who can actually find happiness within himself or herself. Therefore, no other outside agent can affect it. And therefore, you at least have that going for you, regardless of what other disaster may hit you in life. And it says, in everything, where can I find happiness in everything? Like I find happiness in sex. Everybody finds happiness in sex, but that's no big deal. It's a no-brainer. That's not finding happiness. That's pleasure. There's a difference between happiness and pleasure and joy. So how can I live and enjoy the moment happening now? That's exactly what you just said. Be in the moment. Don't focus on what's gone, what's in the past, because you cannot make any changes to it, make it better or worse, or correct it or whatever. But you have to focus on the fact that the past that you're trying to correct or deal with whatever happened doesn't even exist anymore. If it doesn't exist, it doesn't matter. So you don't go fix a bicycle that you don't have. So you don't go into the memory, try to fix things that in the memory, everything that you're there trying to fix doesn't even exist anymore. It's all dead. So no worries, nothing in there can bother you, and you need not make anything fixed in there because nothing exists. So stay on the moment. Be one with your efforts, what you're doing in life, what you're trying to accomplish in life, what you're trying to learn in life, what you're trying to advance and modify and better in yourself, in your persona, your qualities. That's where happiness is. That's how you live. Focus on the efforts that you make in the moment. Not about the past, it doesn't exist. Not about the future, there is no future waiting for you. When it's future, it's the now. So there's always present. There's nothing other than the present. So you're trying to plan for something that hasn't happened, and you worry about it, create anxiety, and you go into your memories trying to figure out, oh, when it happens, I'll do this, I'll do that. Then you come back here and you see, oh, that future that I'm worried about, it's not even here, let alone what I'm worried about happening in it. So all the remedies that you found while you're daydreaming about what if that something happens in the future, this is what I'll do, you can't apply because it's the present. The future is not, that problem is not here anymore. At all or yet. So therefore you kind of wonder, oh, why is it that I don't get the results of what I conjured up in my memory when in my mind when I was sitting and thinking about what I'm going to do in such anxiety, such fear, such possibilities of danger that might happen that I'm worried about it right now, what I'm going to be doing about it. And then you come back here, you realize it's not here, so you can't apply the remedies that you've chosen, and then you can't apply, therefore you can't get any feedback. You can't see that it's working or not. You can't see that it's working or not, you get frustrated. And then you kind of feel anxious because you can't apply the remedy that you come up with. And that's the problem. And that's why you don't ever want to go in trying to handle something that hasn't even happened yet, which is anxiety, fear. And fear is always, when you compare something that was with something that it is and with something that it could be. What it was, what it is, and what it could be. How it was, how it is, how it could be. When you compare this, you create time and you create fear and you create anxiety when none of that exists other than the present moment, which actually is very safe. Nothing is happening. At this very moment, this very small moment, before I know something happening about it, is gone. The next moment is fresh again. So I'm pretty much safer in the present moment than going in the memory trying to fix things that I can never fix, so the anxiety brews, or going into some kind of a futuristic imagination and trying to fix some problems that might happen in the future, like the neighbor saw me with, dating his sister or something, and then I'm in trouble. So what if people find out that? Then you figure out, what am I going to do for something that hasn't even happened? Nobody's figured it out yet. So what I'm trying to say is that stay in the present moment, and your problems will seem manageable, if there is any. And Natasha says, I feel Like I can't even come to my own head to listen to my own thoughts because I don't know what's real and what's intrusive. And it's the most frustrating feeling. Natasha, Krochta, Krochta, let me know your age and where you're tuning in from, and I'll get back to you right away. I'll go to Riley. I just need the protocol. And June, yeah, you've done that, and Riley has done it. Like, look at Riley, M27 Canada. So you just say F as in female and your age, and then where you're tuning in from. Riley says, sorry, yes, I watched the latest one, not the original. Your channel is definitely underrated for the topics you cover. Thank you for that. And maybe you can help. Share it in your social media and help us to be noticed by talking about it on any kind of a chat, forum chat, rooms and all that. So that would be good. Tiffany Twistigit. I don't know. That's a made up screen name. Says, hello, Mehran. 23 male Moscow. Oh, очень приятно. Меня зовут Mehran. So I'd like to ask what if I kill someone? Oh, see, first of all, you shouldn't kill anyone. Are you talking about in OCD, right? What are you talking about? Is OCD the same? So are you saying, first of all, tell me, is English your first language or are you Russian and English is your second language? Because I just want to make sure I understand you, right? Or should I take your sentences, what you say? So I'd like to ask if, then in quotation, what if I kill someone? OCD, the same with HOCD? Ah, I see. Oh, yes, of course, it's harm OCD. Absolutely. Responsibility OCD, harm OCD. And it's all anxiety-based things. And to deal with all of them, you just ignore them. Yeah, of course, because these are thoughts. And thoughts have no actuality. There's a difference between brain, thoughts, and you. You're the boss. You're the owner of all these things. You don't have to listen to any of that shit. Not what the brain does, not what intestines do, not what thoughts represent. None of that. You decide if it's useful to pay attention to something or not. Not just because brain conjured it up and brain does math, so brain is smart, brain is intelligence. No, brain is piece of shit. Brain is an equipment, like your river, like your river, like your liver, like your kidney. It has a mandate, it has a job, it has a program. It's a tool, it's an apparatus, it's an equipment. It's been added to you 40,000 years ago, advanced from the stem brain to what it is today over years, and developed to be sophisticated in order to be a better tool for you, in order to do things that you want to use it for, to accomplish and advance your life. That's what brain is there for. Brain is not you. Brain is not your intelligence. Brain is not your leader, your teacher. None of that shit. Brain is an apparatus that when it goes rogue and it uses its own apparatus to make thoughts, you think these thoughts that are 80, 90,000 a day, and they are mostly intrusive and irrelevant, but its job is to make thoughts. Why? Because brain doesn't find security in physicality. In other words, just because I'm sitting here and I know where my muscles or face is, ears or hands, legs and everything is, and my place is locked and I'm in a good part of town, that's the physicality where I get my security from, right? That's from my body. But the mind doesn't find security just because it has a secured physicality, because it doesn't have a physicality. It finds its security, like the body finds its security in environment, in physicality, security of the physicality, the brain finds its security in occupation, in doing things. And so its job is to keep itself safe and secure in certain activity, which is material process, which is doing stuff, occupying itself, calculating, creating, conjuring up, thinking. That's why it's constantly in thinking mode, processes things, and when you don't need it, for the things that you need it, so it does what you need, it's a butler, it's a servant. But when you don't need it, it has its own life. And sometimes while it's doing your things that you command to it, calculate this, do things, I want to learn this, it still does its own job. That's why you get distracted and you have a hard time finishing your chapter, because while you're trying to focus on it, this bloody thing is doing its own thing, calculating on what happened 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago, or what it wants to do, or all kind of intrusive thoughts, 80, 90,000 thoughts a day. So it finds its security in occupation. That's why it's constantly processing. And because you don't need it all day long, there are not so many tasks you want to do, it still wants security when even you don't need it. You don't give it a job. So it finds a job for itself. What's that job? Conjuring up intrusive thoughts. And why does it choose intrusive thoughts? Because when it chooses intrusive thoughts, you try to handle it. You try to fix it. You try to correct it. And it keeps putting it in there and creates anxiety and fear and anger and all kind of emotions. And emotions give other thoughts. And this thinking process and calculating constantly moves on. So it keeps on being occupied and feels, I'm doing something, therefore I'm secure. Brain doesn't care if it's coming up with inappropriate thoughts or hazardous thoughts. It just finds its security in the fact that it's creating thoughts, not in the content of the thought. Like if it thinks that the content of the thought is dangerous, it's not going to say, oh, it's danger, I shouldn't be thinking about it. No, it says, fuck it, I don't care. As long as I'm making thoughts, I can think about killing someone, I can think about raping, I can think about pedophilia, I can think about my own sexuality, I can think about some sexuality that is not mine. It can think about whatever it is, regardless if it's appropriate to you, meaningless to you, or useful to you, or relevant to you. That's why it's mostly focused on intrusive thoughts, because intrusive thoughts gives it a fight. Because then there is another person resists the other side, then it can come up, uses that, would come up with all kind of other data hunting and letting you to debate it and defend it, and it will come up with another little bit of a nudge and pisses you off, and you go more upset, and then you come up, and this thing continues. In that occupation, it finds security, not in the content that is useful or intelligent or pleasant or civil. None of that shit. It doesn't care, because it doesn't exist. Thought doesn't exist. Brain, its production doesn't have any actuality or factuality. Therefore, it can afford to think of anything and not get hurt, not worry about any harm, no cultural shock, no against its upbringing or condition, none of that shit. It doesn't give a shit. All it cares about is, can I be processing something? So in other words, it doesn't care about what it's chewing. It could be shit it's chewing, it could be vomit, it could be food, it could be a hamburger, it could be the best food in the world. It doesn't care. As long as it's chewing, that's what it wants. So as long as it makes thoughts, that's what it gives it security. Not the content of it that you wonder, why my brain thinks about a gender that I'm not, or suggests that I'm the sexuality inclination that I'm not, or suggests that I'm going to kill someone or rape someone or harm someone that I'm not. Because the brain doesn't exist, doesn't have any responsibility, doesn't care. It's just trying to stay secure. Why? Because the brain has not been taught where to be in this entity of body. You see, your hand, your fingers has a place. Your wrist, your hand has a place on the wrist. And then the forearm, then the elbow, then the shoulder, the upper elbow, whatever it is, upper arm, and the shoulders, and the neck. Everything has a place in your body. All the physicalities have a place. So they find their security here. Yeah? They have a place. You know where things are. You want to shake hand, you bring your hand out. You don't go look for it. Hey, come here. I want to shake hand with this person. You know where everything. You close your eyes, you know where the ears are, eyes, noses, teeth, everything. But the brain doesn't have a place in your body, and you haven't trained it to know that it does have a place. It can have a place. Before you train it, which is another topic for another time, which is actually explained in detail in my book, Me, My Psyche, and I. If you go on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com, mindthatseekstruth.com, you will see the table of content of my books, and you can read a sample chapter if you push a button somewhere there. And then, of course, you can have an idea what the book is all about. And then, of course, you can get it on print version or ebook version, which is ebook version is like 1/10 of a price. I've put it in a price that every currency from every country finds it affordable. So get that book and understand the chapter that says mind needs a home. I think, let's see. That's a book. And if you go, I think it's chapter 32 or something. Chapter 29 says ego is derailing our tranquility. 30 says approaching life one-dimensionally. Chapter 31 says hope in life. 32 meditation. 33 our mind and meditation. 34 our mind needs a home. Chapter 34, page 214, talks about our mind needs a home. That's where I discuss where mind needs to focus and how, so it can find a place for it to secure itself and to relax itself, and not to have to be active and making thoughts all the time in order to find security through occupation, and find security through meditation, find security through focus, find security through knowing that it also has a home in this body, has a place in this body. Because it's not physical, then it doesn't have a physical place in the body, like the hands and arms and nose and everything else. So it's constantly everywhere, going here, going there, trying to find a place where it can hang its hat in ideas, in thoughts. That's why it goes in the memory. That's why it goes ahead of the present moment, going to fictitious future, and then many other things that has no physicalities. So you need to teach it and condition it to have a place where mind also would be present in the body rather than being all over the place. And therefore mind and body will be coordinated. That's when you manifest your total power, that you can unleash it on anything else it is that you want to accomplish in life. It could be tennis, it could be learning and passing your exam, it could be running, it could be all kinds of things. I used it in military when I wanted to have 24-hour leave and they were choosing runners, and I said, yeah, me, I run good, and I didn't really. But that's another story for another time. So anyhow, so that's how you focus on what these are. These are all intrusive thoughts. So when you think about killing someone, where was I? Where did I go with this? It's if I kill someone, OCD, yeah. These are all OCD subsets. Responsibility, OCD, you don't want to be responsible to harming anyone. Harm, OCD, to harming anyone, harming yourself. All kinds of OCDs, but none of them can become an action, because brain thought by itself has no power whatsoever. It doesn't even exist. It is only you who can allow it and command it and allow it to have a life, to turn into action. You, and only you, can decide and make that happen, not itself. So when the brain comes up with some kind of a thought, no threat to you, even though it makes it threatening, because the idea of it is threatening, because it's against your preferences and your upbringing and your conditionings that you have received and your lifestyle. So it's threatening because something is about to threaten or suggest a threat towards what you love to be, what you have always been, and you want to protect that, what is relevant to you. And this is against an opposite of what you want, what you love, and what your lifestyle is all about. So it becomes threatening, and then you become uncomfortable. But lo and behold, remember that regardless of what the topic of the thought that the brain has produced is, it can never do anything to you, because you're the only one that can authorize it, allow it, turn it to become an actuality. Otherwise, it will live forever in oblivion and never becomes anything and never can threaten or cause you any harm whatsoever. But when you think it can, then you react to what you're thinking that it can, which is that thought itself is a thought and has no actuality. So all of that is bullshit, but you're reacting to something that you believe it's real, not that it is real. It is not real unless you make it real by actions, by actuality. I have a video that talks about the roots of all thoughts is outside of you. And you need to watch that. When you watch that, you will see something that you've never really thought of. So if you go to playlist called Intrusive OCD, HOCD short videos, and mind you, they're not short, all of them, you will find a video that says the roots of all thoughts, or something like that, roots of OCD thoughts, or something like that. And you will see what I'm talking about when I say the roots of OCD, HOCD, or thoughts is outside of you. And then that's an interesting topic, actually, that you will say, whoa, what this guy's been on, which is a question I ask sometimes myself. So, and Natasha says 20 Canada, sorry, female. Okay, thank you. Let's go back to Natasha. But before that, I gotta wet my whistle. You know, this pandemic thing, I stopped going to the gym for the past 8-9 months because it hasn't been possible. And what happens to the muscle mass is tremendously amazing because you lose it all to the point that your body becomes really untrained. And even if you want to do a menial job cleaning home, then suddenly you feel like, it become like a bowl of sugar. And the weather has changed. I haven't gone biking for 10 days. It's been... Anyhow. So Natasha says, I feel like I can't even come to my own head to listen to my own thoughts. But those are not your thoughts. Remember. There is a difference between your thoughts and the brain's thoughts. If you do not understand the separation between brain thoughts and you, you'll go crazy. You actually will go crazy. You'll go nuts. And I'm serious about that. That is why it is imperative for every human being to understand how the makeup of the psyche, how it's put together. And for that, you need to watch the videos that I have, which I used it in the playlist called Intrusive, Transient, OCD, HOCD, Negative Thoughts. That's a different playlist than the one I just mentioned. On this, while I focus on HOCD and all that, but in order to help you understand the roots and the origins of all these, I explained in video number 11 how thoughts come to be, the relationship between thoughts and consciousness. And in the video number 8 in that playlist, some of these videos are like 50 of them, but some of them have actual numbers, 1, 2, 3, so on. Those are the ones I want you to watch, and more important than the other ones. So I want you to watch number 1, of course. I want you to watch number 7, which talks about the power of mind, how powerful this beast up here is. That's why you get bamboozled and you believe that what it conjures up is actually real, because it's so powerful. That's why it's so important that if you understand it and train it and understand what it is, how it is functioning and malfunctioning, then you'll be safe and you will go far with it. You will use it like you have a horse that you've trained it and you command it and communicate with it, and it'll take you where you want to go, and it'll jump all over all fences and makes you to go to your destination as safe as you can. But if you don't train it, don't understand your power of your brain and how it functions and malfunctions, its limitations and its capabilities, then that's like running riding a horse that it's got its own mind and it's powerful. It's going to take you to gutters and places that you never wanted to step there because you're not in control. And that's when the brain actually makes you go nuts and crazy. This is why it's very important for you to understand how does brain, thoughts, and you are separated, independent systems. So number 1, number 7, and then I want you to watch number 11, talks about thoughts and questions. Then I want you to watch number 8. That's why intrusive thoughts happen there, and one of the reasons. And of course, I've got many other discussions there, but those are basically geared for HOCD. Other than the ones that I talked to you about, they're all relevant to HOCD. But then I have this other playlist, which is the intrusive OCD, HOCD short videos. They are not data hunting or discussing interpretations of intrusive thoughts. They're discussing origins and how brain and thoughts and consciousness work and don't work, and how the brain malfunctions and all that, so forth. That's a whole topic of insult. I want you to guys watch those, especially you, Natalia. And Natalia was saying, I feel like I can't even come to my own head to listen to my own thoughts, which we said many of the things are not your thoughts. There are things that you command the brain and use the apparatus of the brain to do for you, and those are your thoughts. Like you want to design something, you want to calculate something, you want to figure out something, you want to learn something, you want to write something, you want to produce something, you want to accomplish something. These are your thinking, your thoughts. But then brain itself makes its own thoughts, as we talked about, 80, 90,000 thoughts a day. They're not your thoughts. Independent totally. Irrelevant to you, meaningless to you, and you've got nothing to do with it, with this production. You didn't introduce it, you didn't encourage it, you didn't want it to be there. They're just there because the brain, as I said, wants to do its own thing. Part of it is to protect you, part of it is to be occupied, to find security. So all gets mixed up and comes up kind of a mishmash soup that you have to now deal with it, thinking, all these things I created in my head is about me. No, none of it. That's why if you understand the separation between brain, thoughts, and you, then you just begin to realize what freedom of mind and freedom of thought is, and you get your freedom back. You may have never had it. You always thought you're the brain. Brain is now you. And underneath, in the description part of all these videos, I have introduced scholars and scientists such as Dr. Schwartz discussing the experiment that Dr. Grable with her MIT postgraduate study student Carl Smith has done on rats in regards to neuroscience of habits, and you will learn how the brain functions and conditioned, and then the relationship between the goal finding center, reward center, and habit center, which are all in the same circle, called the striatum. And in there, the actual star of the show, caudate nucleus, when it malfunctions, and then it causes all these intrusive thoughts, which every single human being on earth has it. But when the caudate nucleus malfunctions, the intrusive thoughts, instead of just showing up for a couple of seconds and then you say, "Ooh, shit, that's a bad thought," and then disappear because caudate nucleus automatically shuts them off, knowing what your system is all about, knowing what your gender and interest and inclination is, knowing about what is relevant to you, it shuts off the intrusive thoughts that are irrelevant to you. But when it's not functioning, then its automatic system is off and these intrusive thoughts show up and you recognize them, but they don't go away. It's not like you're minority and you're the only one who has intrusive thoughts. Every single human being on earth has intrusive thoughts. How many times a day? God knows. But when their system functions automatically, it shows up, they say, "Ooh, this shitty thought," and then it disappears because you go about focusing on the things that you want to focus. But when you have an OCD or some malfunction happens that the caudate nucleus doesn't do its automatic job, then you got to retrain your brain by the way you and ignore these thoughts, and by your behavior towards reaction toward these thoughts, which are just, I don't give a shit, I'm not interested, I notice, yeah, thank you, but I'm not interested, you focus on your life, then it rewires your brain through neuroplasticity, and you begin to get this automatic conditioning that caudate nucleus used to do back, and then eventually resets caudate nucleus to do its job. It happens to almost everybody, at least a big percentage. So the ones who say, no, I don't have any intrusive thoughts, they're full of shit, either lying or they just haven't focused on it enough. And 94.6% of people, if not more, have intrusive thoughts. And I guess the other 5-6% either lying or they just are too dumb to notice. And remember, if you have such intrusive thoughts and OCD and all that, you're usually above average intelligence, and that's why you focus on these, and you're so perfectionist and focused on it and meticulous about it, and data hunted and want to find out what it is and all that. But if you were a little bit dumber, you would simply say, I don't give a shit. Just focus on your life and just enjoy your life and not be so bogged down with it. That's the whole problem. In other words, about 40,000 years ago, we were still living as animals. We had a stem brain, and everything was instinctive. We still couldn't speak or have a thinking possibility or capacity or capability. Therefore, we would hunt, sleep, eat, have sex, and everything was clear. No ambiguity. Everything was clear, hardwired. Your sexual orientation, your sexual inclination, your interest in sleeping or running around hunting or exercising, who you are, what you are, and it was all hardwired. But when thinking capabilities and speaking and creating of thoughts patterns and ability to think was added to our existence, which we existed in that way for 1,000,000 years before we were given the ability to think, when that showed up, then the problems showed up. In other words, thoughts are the roots of all problems. It's not that there's something wrong with you have intrusive thoughts. You never had it. It's not something wrong with you that you think you have HOCD. You never had it. Why? Because HOCD shows up when you have the capability of thinking. When you didn't have capability of thinking, there was no questions, nothing to be assured of, no need to think and doubt anything. These are all thought-based. And when we couldn't think, we had no problems. Everybody was clear on their gender. Everybody was clear on their interests and what's meaningful or what's meaningless to them, what's irrelevant to them. And nobody had any problem as far as these sort of things that we are dealing with it because of these magnetic fields, because of all these extraordinary, irrelevant information that is all on the air, on TV, people's personal preferences, personal sexual inclinations, personal lifestyles are all on view of everybody and discussed all the time, which is irrelevant to most others. Whatever is not irrelevant to this person is irrelevant to that person, and so on. And all these extra informations are seeping through the consciousness, and guess where does brain picks up material to make thoughts? From the consciousness. So all these irrelevant information that is seeped in here, it picks it up. It doesn't know what it is. It doesn't care what it is. It doesn't care what your gender is. It just wants to make thoughts. So if that kind of information about sexuality and things that are irrelevant to you, it's been added up here about, I don't know, murder or pedophilia, is seeped into the consciousness, brain makes thoughts of it. And then you have to deal with it and figure out, oh, that describes me. That means I'm going to be a pedophile. Or that means I'm, you're heterosexual. And then thoughts of homosexuality shows up and say, oh, am I in denial? Am I going to be gay? Have I not been this, what I've always been? And all these things shows up because brain picks up information from the consciousness. And in the consciousness, there's so much irrelevant information that is floating out in the air and the open, which all these things used to be private for people. And everybody lived however their lifestyle was, in peace and quiet in their own home, and whatever they did with their body and their interest was their own business, and yet now it's become the world business, and as the result, every brain in the world is being subjected to the information that is irrelevant to them, yet the brain doesn't understand what's irrelevant, what's not. It says, hey, I want to make thoughts. So I'm going to make a thought out of this information, out of that information, and doesn't care about what's relevant to you, what's not relevant to you. And then you start being bamboozled and not knowing how powerful the brain is. You start thinking that what the brain has conjured up as form of thought is actually relevant to you. And you start data hunting it, disapproving it, fighting with it, and all this, which is the intrusive thoughts, and constantly wow, 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 wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's the sound of the Italian Western movies in the old time. I don't think I did a good imitation of it, but anyhow, you get the gist of it. So, where were we? And Natasha says, because I don't know what's real and what's intrusive, and the most frustrating feeling. Also, sorry, I'm new with this, but more directed towards relationship OCD. Okay. All right, so I'm missing some part here. Frustrating feeling. Okay, that's ended. 20 Canada. Sorry. Okay. Where in Canada are you, Natasha? That's funny. It's the first time I have like 3 Canadians on this line. I usually don't get. I get maybe 1 or 2 max. Like this channel is known more in Europe than it is in Canada, while I am in the West Coast myself. So, what else do we have here? Beyond the Wash says, hi Meran, male 29, Ireland. Hello there. Says, hope you are well. And he says, a girl I was seeing throughout lockdown decided to end things with me tonight via text. Oh, okay. Social distances, so she has a good excuse to break up with you via text. I says, I have yet to respond. What would you say in this instance? Well, I don't know what your relationship's been together and what problem, if any, is there, what she's all about, what she's like, how old is she, what is her background, how has she been treating you, how have you been treating her? And all these are unknown to me, beyond the wash. So that whole thing is beyond the wash for me. lack of input. But generally, if you understand that if it was you who was breaking up over text, which I don't recommend it, but because it's social distancing, maybe you could get away with it. But if one is coward enough to want to break things up on text, or finds it convenient, so not to fuss with it, and does that, however it is, just imagine if it was you and you had texted her that you want to break up with her. What do you expect? What impresses you most when she responds? If she responds, oh, why? No, let's talk about it. And then you'll be more serious to say, oh, no, I don't give a shit about this one. She really wants me so much. And usually people don't have enough confidence in themselves. So if somebody's paying so much attention to them, they figure, oh, why is she paying so much attention to me? I don't think I'm much, but she thinks I'm much. Then that means she's too hung up on me that I myself don't think I'm really that great. So that means she's not great. And if she's not that great, I don't want her. You know, the old saying of I don't want to belong to a club that takes me as a member. So same thing here. So if she says that, you will be more serious and more kind of, maybe you won't change your mind at all, but you would remember her as a weakling. But what if she comes out and says, oh, I'm sorry that you feel that way. But that's your choice, and I respect that. I wish you well and take good care. That abrupt response to you, it makes you say, oh shit, I'm losing something. I just lost something because there's no recourse. That's done. Holy fuck, what did I do? At least, even though if she doesn't change her mind, but she leaves you with that feeling of, oh, I'm not so sure if I made a mistake or not. And I think that's the best way to leave her like that. So you might want to rewind this in a couple of hours and see what I just said, and then write it that way. Because look, when someone makes a decision, you can't change their mind because you don't want to. And if she's, pulling your leg, then, let her feel the burn by responding to her as if you took this very seriously, which you should, you know. Just as the fact as a gentleman always remembers if you are in any kind of a intimate situation with a woman and she, I don't care when, in the middle of that intimacy, she says, no, no means no. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, how far you've gone into that intimacy, whatever the situation is, you stop and you remove yourself from that proximity. That's a gentleman. That's the whole motto of protecting women. You don't just protect the woman from the others, you also protect the woman from yourself and your own desires, regardless of how hot you may be feeling at that moment, or how drunk, or whatever the hell it may be. So, having said that, when a woman makes her decision of some kind, expresses it to you, then you take that also seriously. Just as when she says no means no, and no matter what, you will comply to that and protect her even from your own actions, and you take that no seriously, let her also know that when she breaks up the relationship or suggests that, you will also respect that and take that seriously. And then she has to deal with the consequences of her own decisions, whether she's going to regret it or not. It's up to her. But you take it for what it is and comply to it and appreciate it, what her decision is, and accommodate her. Do not beg for it. It just changes the equation that you never want to be in it. And it will never give you anything that you wanted, because it would be just a start. Even if someone comes back because you begged, she will always remember you, that she's doing you a favor because you begged, and it will never be what you hope to be, and it will be a beginning of another end, a second time breakup. So just remember that. Never, ever, when a woman breaks up with you, ask her, no, please don't. Just respect it. And by the way, though, this is a qualified one. It depends on how bad you've been. Like if you're really doing some bad shit or bad behavior, treating her bad, then they discuss it, of course. But either one, man or woman, whatever your relationship is, if you simply are faced with the other side want to break up, don't beg for it. Because that decision didn't come just within the last half an hour. She or he's been thinking about it for the past 3 months. So, don't beg for it. I don't care if he's breaking up with you or she's breaking up with you, whatever, whoever is breaking up, don't beg for it. And Natasha says, also sorry, I'm new with this, but more direct towards relationship OCD. Okay, now I need more info in regards to your exact question, unless you feel I've answered it. And Natasha is from Toronto. Thank you for that. And Stephen is here. Stephen says, hello, Meran. Hello, Stephen. Stephen, male, 40, Los Angeles. Says, everything turned around for me, but now going to not be needy anymore and or seek assurance. plus work more on loving myself. And everything turned around for you, meaning what? Don't leave me hanging. What do you mean by that? Steven says, went 5 days without texting her. Yesterday morning at work, she seemed a little distant. I began talking to her and she warmed up. By the end of the shift, everything seemed good. Worked in the same room with her today and she's fully there. She opened up on how she's so stressed out with school. I feel like I focus more on losing her and think it's out of her fear, which leads to doubts and due to my past relationship. Yeah, so are you simply going to shut the fuck up now and just let her do her things and deal with her schooling and exams and work, and don't be breathing, behind her ears? Just leave her be and let her, at her own good time, text you and say how you're doing. And if you ever needed to text, not needed, if you ever thought it is supportive to her if you text her, which I don't think you should be using that as an excuse to keep fucking texting her. If you thought is appropriate to support that you're sure she needs that text, then just text her for support, not text her to ask for something, for reassurance of her emotions towards you, or to get a date from her or anything. Just fucking be there for her if you think she needs it. Don't be there because you think you need her. Be there because you think she might use that attention to make her feel more comfortable and focused on what she wants to accomplish, not that she would give you a brownie points for when you want to ask her out again. I just want to ask you to genuinely think of her. If she did not appreciate you genuinely thinking of her and helping her to achieve her goals, then shame on her. And it shouldn't bother you at all because you did a great thing. You thought of your girlfriend, and that's great. And if she did reciprocate and appreciate it, well, then you can't go any, can't do any better than that. And Tiffany says, thank you so much, Mehran. You are helping thousands of people. When I have a HOCD attack, I think about there the bullshit goes again. But sometimes it may change my mood. Of course it does, because we are also perfectionists. We can't tolerate any instant of uncertainty that it is being suggested by the malfunctioning brain. But because the brain is malfunctioning, with the same malfunctioning brain, we're trying to gauge and decide that the brain is not malfunctioning. How could you understand that the brain is malfunctioning if the gauge and instrument that you're choosing to see if the brain is malfunctioning or not is a malfunctioning brain? So that's why you should never bloody believe your brain when it's malfunctioning and what it's suggesting. And I have a video that shows you, discusses how you are totally separated from the brain and how you can spot that. There is a video I've put in that says who's talking to God or something like that, which is, of course, I have a better production of it earlier on. I don't know the names. You guys got to find it. And that explains to you where you are in your brain, that you can distinguish between brain and you, rather than brain being you and you think that the brain is you. And then there's also a video that I have that I've used the experiment they did in a laboratory on quantum physics, which showed when they used the electron gun and they shoot it to the wall while it has to pass through a steel plate with a slot, an opening in it. Then on the wall there will be imprints of the electrons that was shot through the steel plate onto the wall, and it shows a line. when they added one more slot on the steel plate, there were two slots now. The electrons had to go through two slot openings and then hit the wall. Then there wasn't only just two lines because there were two slots, there were many lines on the wall. And because they couldn't figure out what's going on, why are they turning into waves, like they had the experience done by waves before this, it looked like that the electrons are turning into waves once they have to go through two slots on the steel plate. So for that reason, they put a measuring instrument, in other words, an observer, a witness to what's happening. That witness was totally outside of that equipment. That witness was totally separate and independent from that whole mechanism that they have put together to complete that experiment. And because he was not part of the apparatus that was conducting this experiment, the electrons changed behavior because that was not part of the group. That was not part of the experiment. That was not part of them. They recognized there's an outside witness, outside observer. And because there was an outside observer, because the scientists wanted to peek through to see what's happening when they fired a gun inside the laboratory, they put that measuring device, the observer. And because this observer was not part of the whole experiment, the electrons changed their behavior, and lo and behold, they showed two lines. No more 10 lines. Two lines. They just like the teacher has come to class. Like somebody's watching them. And that somebody is not part of them. It's totally separate. And the same experience I suggested in my video that you do with your brain. And you can do it right now. The brain does its own function. But you think that the brain is you. But the funny enough is when you actually, right now, right this moment, search for thought, observe the creation of thought in your brain. Like, I don't know how you think your brain is, compartments or rocks that you got to look under the rocks to find thoughts, or neurons or rooms. If you look at all nooks and crannies of your brain, however you imagine your brain will be, or look under the rocks if you think they're rocks, or if you look at the rooms, however you think the compartments of the brain is, if you just look and observe and be witness to creation of a thought, as you're looking for a thought, searching for a thought, trying to see where a thought is born, you will see nothing is happening. The brain that is making 80, 90,000 thoughts a day, when you're looking to observe and be witness of creation of a thought in it, or looking for a thought, nothing is happening. The brain recognizes that there is some entity outside of itself, not part of the brain, is observing it, is watching it, is measuring it, is witnessing to its behavior. So suddenly it behaves as, I'm not making any thoughts. I'm not doing anything. No thoughts. You will find nothing. That clearly tells you that the brain and you are totally separate, independent systems. You're not the brain. Brain is not you. You're not thoughts, and thoughts are not you. And when you recognize that, all of these intrusive thoughts will become clear to you. They're all bullshit. Whether they're HOCD, OCD, pedophile OCD, responsibility OCD, religious OCD, all kinds of subsets of OCD, whatever the hell they are, you understand that this is a conjuring up of the apparatus of the brain, and not you. And you and the brain are totally separate. You are the wisdom, you are the awareness, you are you, and the brain is a machine that is making thoughts, and you're the boss to choose or this and find it relevant or irrelevant according to your decision and your command, which you're the only judge of judging which thought is useful, which thought is not, what should be ignored and what should be focused on. And that's you and only you, because you are the boss of the whole thing, not the brain. So intrusive thoughts are bullshit. But they're there. They're there. All right. Mind you, this live stream right now, I don't know because I've probably talked about it 1,000 times. You just with this discussion that I just had, you just watched, I think, I don't know, 10 videos. I've condensed it like that. And of course, that's why I get the big bucks. You know, I've got so many subscribers here, millions of them. Can you not see? It's because of the expertise that is going on in this channel. God damn it. Where are these people who are supposed to be flooding this channel for all the amazing information that we have here? And I'm not blowing my own horn, am I? Am I? Wonderful tea. Wonderful tea. Green tea. All right. And we have MRDKB21. Sounds like some kind of a weapon. No, it says Mr. DKB21. I don't want to say what DK stands for. You probably know what it is. Says, hi, Meran, male 25, US of A. Quick question. What causes a person to cheat on their significant other even after a committed relationship? How many of you guys want to hear a joke before I answer this? If you want to hear it, say one. Just click on one, put one. If not, two. Just do it right now while I have my tea. I'm gonna heat it up. Come on, put the numbers. I'll be right there. I'm just warming up my tea. You want to hear a joke? Put a one, not two. I'm almost there. That's it. Just pouring my tea. All right. Let's see. Do we have any answer here? Aha. So everybody wants to hear it. All right. So here's the background of it. Mr. DKB21 asks, I'm Iran, male 25 USA. Quick question. Quick question. What causes a person to cheat on their significant other even after a committed relationship? So that brings me to this joke. Nasruddin was a Turkish philosopher of 1,000 years ago. He was a pretty wise man, and he would go around different cities and villages around the country and around that neck of the wood 1,000 years ago with his camel driver. And then they would go and give speeches and so on. So they got on the road as a as a concert on the road, and then he gave a speech in different cities and different villages for the every day in one city, and then they went to another the next day, and so on and so forth. So they've done it 10 different nights, and now they were camping night before on the day that they would go enter the next city, which was right outskirt of the city. They camped to wait until the morning with his camel driver, make a fire, and have, I don't know, some bratwurst or whatever it was that they were having those days, or maybe sheep balls or whatever it was. So they were talking, and the camel driver says, "You know what, Mullah?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "What you're doing is not difficult. I can give the exact same, talk. I can do just as good a job as you do. It's not a big deal." Well, of course, he could say that because he'd been hearing the same speech for the past 10 nights every day, and now he's memorized it by heart. He knows what the mullah says. So Mullah Nasruddin says, "Well, tomorrow we're going to enter the city, which is just a kilometer away, or 300 meters away from the city we are now, and nobody knows me. So why don't we switch places, and I become the camel driver, and you sit on the camel, and you become Nasruddin." He says, "Yeah, good deal, no problems." So tomorrow morning they wake up, and then of course Nasruddin becomes camel driver, and they switch places, and the camel driver sits on the camel. They go and enter the village, enter the city, and of course the mayor is there, and all these people in the whole circle of the city, and they welcome him. There's a stage and all that. They say, "Oh, Nasruddin, please come here, talk." So anyhow, Nasruddin is holding the camel as a camel driver, and the camel driver goes on the podium and starts talking to people, and he sure as hell gives the same quality of speech as Nasruddin did. Of course, because he's been hearing it for 10 nights, and he was, quite, good at it, memorized everything. Until it came to the question and answer period. And somebody asked the question that it was so difficult. Of course, he didn't have the knowledge and wisdom and the training or whatever to respond to that question. So he says, "What the hell am I going to do now?" So he says, "Oh, this question is so simple that even my camel driver can answer." And he said the camel driver, which was Nasruddin, to come and answer it. So now, this question is so simple that I'm actually looking for my camel driver to come and answer this, because there is no quick answer to such a sophisticated, full of variances on this question that what causes a person to cheat on their significant other. It has a lot to do with the quality of the relationship, with the way that she or he has been treated, the way that their conditioning and their consciousness been since their all their life, with their relationships they had in the past, the values and what is of value to them is been taken hold and shape in their value system, and what is the purpose, main reason, or whatever else is involved. So there is really no one reason that I can tell you. All I can say is that regardless of what the reason is lack of discipline and lack of reliability and lack of respect of that person for him or herself, that doesn't have the understanding of the responsibility in a relationship to at least come to her or his senses to break up with this relationship, then go do whatever the heck it is that he wants to do. These people simply do not want to take responsibility for their behavior, and they want to have pleasure rather than focusing on, you got to have this as a package. You can't simply say, from a relationship, I only want the pleasure of it. And if it's not giving me that, then I'll go get the pleasure somewhere else, and then not to deal with the responsibility in the other one, in this one. And of course, eventually it breaks up automatically, and they will continue doing the same thing with the other relationships, which they will never actually end up being in a relationship. So what they're doing at the moment, which seems harmful to you, is in fact is a prelude to a harmful behavior and the relationship with life on their own. In other words, they're harming themselves, not you, because you will recognize it, you will move on and go and find your own cup of tea, and yet they will be conditioned to keep getting away or doing this because that's the only way they can deal with themselves and their understanding of what relationship is, which constantly puts them in the same criteria, same predicaments, and they will never be able to achieve or accomplish or fulfill whatever it is that they're thinking is missing in their relationship at the present time. I hope that answers your question. Marlena. Oh, sorry, Mariana. My glasses here. Hang on, I need some more tea. Mariana says, hello, Meran. Female, 28, Mexico. Hola. And Riley says, how do I stop thinking of sex with my ex? Think about sex with another woman, a prettier woman. I don't know, pick it up from the television or from movie stars, as some woman that you fantasy and you think, oh, she's just God. And then you will see that your ex is actually doesn't measure up. So that's the short of the long answer, because these questions are not easy to answer. That's why don't make me go look for the camel driver. And Coley says, I'm having online exams. I would ask question later. Okay, Coley. All right. More power to you. Good luck. Natasha says, Toronto, okay, yeah. Imran Haydar says, hey, Mehran, people bully me for HOCD and I get easily scared. How to overcome people laughing at me and making fun of me? First of all, why the hell did you have to tell other people that you have HOCD? You seeking attention or their sympathy? Why? One reason could be because you want to bond with other people, as we all do. And if you're not somehow easily part of a group or whatnot, you have this kind of a interest to be accepted. So then you tell your whatever it's supposed to be private to other people. And you shouldn't. Perhaps you said it to get assurances, and some idiot thought, oh, that's HOCD. They have it too. Don't worry. The ones who are laughing at you, they bloody hell have it themselves. And if not now, they had it at some point. If not, they will have it. Because this is something that hits almost everybody. It's a malfunction in the signaling system of the brain. It's not like it's particular to some person or it has actually any biological roots. It's a thought-based. And thought-based is based on malfunction of the brain. And since brains of human beings are all the same mechanism and same brand, at one time or another, they will all malfunction. They will all have. Look, don't you guys, it doesn't have to be HOCD. Don't you guys, haven't you guys experienced a certain kind of a music looping into your heads? Same rhythm, like you can't get it out of your head? Constantly is there. We all had that experience in school, high school, elementary school, wherever it was. Constantly was there. Now, adulthood, that's when caudate nucleus malfunctions. It doesn't shut off what needs to be shut off automatically. It's a similar discussion, the explanation. So they all had it. And then this goes on to further to other things. Intrusive thoughts, pedophilia, homosexuality, different sexuality, if you're homosexual, heterosexuality, all that is part of intrusive thoughts. harm OCD, religious OCD, all kinds of things, subsets of OCD. So this is not a something to laugh at or something to pick on. It's a fucking malfunction of the human brain. It's part of being a human. It's not like exclusive to you or to somebody else or to me or this and that, so forth. Everybody could experience that. So if they're laughing at you, just laugh at them, because those idiots probably dealing with it themselves and they want to hide their own malfunctioning brain. And instead of understanding that it's got nothing to do with your gender, it has to do with brain and its activity of making thoughts, and intrusive thoughts is a big part of what brain makes. And so if they don't understand that, the hell with them. Don't worry about them. But in general, you don't go run around tell people, like, my ass was itching today because, oh yeah, it itches. You go to the bathroom and sometimes it's not cleaned up enough and you itches, and when you itch it, you actually enjoy it. Why? Because we've got so many receptors and sensories all over our skins and everywhere, including your asshole or your nose or a corner of the eye and everywhere else, that if you itch it, it will be pleasant. That feeling of pleasantry doesn't mean you're homosexual. It's just the way human body sensories would feel when you start itching somewhere. You've had some kind of a scab or cut or some kind of a rash or something, or mosquito bite, that when you itch it, you can't stop. It's orgasmic. Well, the same thing up your ass could be when you haven't washed it well, and it's just maybe it's got some fungus or some sensitivity or whatever, or I don't know, you got a hemorrhoid or whatnot, and you itch it, or I don't know. This is an adult show here, so could be your balls that maybe it's got some fungus, or you itches and you itch it, and it feels so good and orgasmic. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. It just means that's how body sensories work, and that's how brain functions and malfunctions when it creates intrusive thoughts or of any kind: pedophilia, harm, irresponsibility, homosexual OCD, all kinds of OCD. So if they think it's your brain, well, they're stupid, because everybody's brain is made in the same way, and every one of them have the tendency of malfunctioning and putting them through what you're going through. But as a general, why do you go around telling people what your personal things? These things come and go. Whether they come and they go, that's what the human brain does and malfunctions. So what do you talk about it to other people? That's another thing about HOCD, that you want assurances, and that's why you probably talk with people, because you want assurances. Is it like that? You don't talk about these things with people. You don't talk to people like, you go, my asshole was itching. Is that normal? Yeah, fucking it's normal. You don't have to tell people about it. Because tomorrow it's not itching and you're going to say, oh shit, what did they say? Anyhow. And Stephen says, thank you, Mara, you're welcome. Carpe Diem says, what a great surprise to have you on tonight, Mara. Great to see you. Great information as always. You're quite welcome. Carpe Diem, thank you for being here. Appreciate your energy and helpfulness and joining us. It always makes the program a little bit better. Imran says, oh, okay, that's about the joke. Okay, good. All right, let's see what we have here. And Mr. DKB says, I think this channel and its content is too sophisticated for the average YouTube user. It could explain the low viewership, or it's simply a waiting game until more people catch on that. Yeah, I would have thought that they would have caught on it by now. I've been at it for so many years. Either I really don't know how to promote it, which I really don't. I've spent money on promoting little short videos, 2-minute videos on YouTube and on Facebook, and for the live streams, and it's always like that. My videos are maximum 200, 150, the first day maybe 50, 60, 70. Some of them, I don't know, hit it off out the park, and over the years they go nuts. But I wonder, what is it? Just because certainly in the channel's name, there's no breakup or OCD, so people can't think, oh, I don't want to subscribe to the channel, so it will show. Like people are looking around to see what channel you subscribe to. But anyhow, still we don't have people, and the viewership is not much either. You know, what is it? 30,000, 40,000 a month. I have no understanding. And I've seen the channels that are just full of nonsense, and they've got like 600,000 or 800,000 viewers, and they talk shit. They talk nonsense. And many people told me, why don't you make shorter videos? Okay, sure. Okay, my videos are long, half an hour, 25 minutes, 15 minutes, 40 minutes. Okay, I shorten. I have now 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 8 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, all of them, no change. But I've got these other channels that I look at, see what is it that their video is like 40 minutes, and I see 500,000 viewers, and I watch the 40 minutes. It's bloody nonsense. There is nothing there. What is it that people are watching? What are they learning from it? Nothing. So I really don't know what's going on, and I'm tired of talking about it. Actually, I don't want to bitch about it. That's what it is. That's the understanding of. You know, my father once said. I don't know the ones who've heard about my father. My father was a very educated man. He had a PhD in law, spoke 6 languages, and I learned a lot from him. And his pictures on my wall. I'm proud of him. And he left us in 2011. But we were talking about politics of the world at one time when I was much younger, and my father said, each nation deserves the government that they have. And he was not talking about the forceful and mean and undemocratic governments that have been placed by force and military and weaponries on top of those people. No, in a democratic system, people deserve the government that they have, because that's their understanding. So I submit to you that whoever's on this channel, they're at a certain level that they're looking for this content and this quality and this echelon of exchange in communication and knowledge. And the ones who are not here, they don't deserve to be here. They're looking for what they are deserving, which are many other channels that are out there, which may or may not be, probably are not at the level that we are discussing. And that's fine, because I only care about you guys that are here. These are the important people who I would like to deliver the seed of pondering for you to use it and then pass it on when a time comes. And if you couldn't pass it on, just refer him to the channel. I'll do the job. All right. Mr. DKB says, wow, great answer. I don't know which one. Mr. DK says, makes sense. Thank you for that. Carpe Diem says, I noticed that I can have experiences that are very similar, but my emotions cause me to view them in a positive way one day, a negative way another day. It's basically based on the tolerance you have on that day, and that tolerance is created by the dopamine that is secreted in your brain. You're in a good mood, therefore your tolerance is like going to the gym. You're the same weight, the same thing, but your attitude and your determination, the I can feeling, the I can do attitude is prevalent there. And therefore you lift weights and the reps and the number of sets and number of reps that you wouldn't do the next day or the day before. You're the same person. But the level of optimistic um, attitude toward what you want to accomplish and how you want to deal with the challenges that are coming your way is different from day to day. Again, depending on the dopamine, depending on what makes you happy, depending on the certain kind of a inner understanding and pondering and analyzation of life that gave you hope, that they say, I can do this without this. I don't have this, but I don't give a shit that I don't have it. I can focus on the brilliance of life on the other tangents. And I'm not dependent on having this before I can enjoy life. I will enjoy life, and if I have this, great. If I don't, doesn't matter. Those days you can handle that, what you're saying, in a different way. And the other days that you think, I got to have this in order to enjoy everything else that is independent of this, then you will not handle things as good as you did the other day. The same thing in the gym. I do great one day and I'm fully focused. Your mood is good and everything. And then the other day you will just feel like, okay, I don't know. That's because there's certain things in your head that it doesn't let you feel like focusing on what you want to accomplish. Instead, you focus on halfway here, halfway there. So naturally, when you're not totally focused here, then your faculties are not really at their optimum to give you the service and the function and the performance that you're expecting from them. And then same experience, different reactions. How can I control those emotions and thoughts? I prefer to feel better over the same experience than negative. Mind is playing so many tricks depending how my emotion is at that moment. Yes. If I am tired, yes. If I'm thinking of something else, yes. Different reaction, yes. I just actually said the exact same things that you said here. And basically that means you need to make your life more fun, which results in more coordination of mind and body. And then your mind affects the body, your body affects the mind. So better care of your body, eating better food, resting enough, and engaging in mindful exercises, meditating, it all brings a level of neurotransmitters of GABA, serotonin, melatonin, growth hormones, and reduces the cortisol. And all that chemical balance is created through mindful exercises and meditation, plus how you take care of your nutrients and the activities that brings you pleasantry and pleasure. It all then combines a better coordination of mind and body, which results in that ability, extraordinary ability to deal with challenges that otherwise some other days, same challenges could actually bring you down, while through having the exercises and practices and lifestyles that we just talked about, you would be able to handle them differently in more vigor and more hopefulness and more independent from what's bugging you, but what I can do rather than what's bugging me doesn't let me do. I separate myself and I only focus on what I can do, how I can unleash my powers on, how I can accomplish something, because from that accomplishments, I also get a good feeling. And that good feeling also helps and propels me to deal with similar situations that comes up the next day better, rather than waiting until I have this and deal with this to feel good, to do better on dealing with this situation the next day. But instead, I push myself to deal through something that I don't feel like dealing that well, but I deal with it great, because that itself will give me that extraordinary feeling of confidence and accomplishment, which it rotates and turns around and gives me the boost that I need for the next time. So in other words, leave what you don't have, what you can't get, what doesn't work for you behind. Don't wait until you get it done to use that to propel you to get things done the next day better. But just get the things done, whether you have this particular thing taken care of the way you like it or not. Get the things done, push through, because that pushing through will give you that extraordinary energy that you're looking for, that you're looking to get from this thing that is not working, but you get it through accomplishing a task that is challenging you right now, independent of something working for you or not, because that itself will bring you the energy that you want to deal with other things that are going to come back at you tomorrow. Short and long, push through, don't give a shit what is not working. Just focus on what can work, what you can get it work, and that's all you care about. What's not working, then it's own loss. You don't have to make everything work if they're not really actually helping to get themselves work in the way that you prefer them to work. So give yourself a break, in other words. I don't know if it makes sense for you or not. Iman Hayder says, thank you, Mehran. You're welcome. Beyond the Wash says, thank you, Mehran. Amazing response, as always. One more question on text ending girl. She has asked, can we still be friends? I want to be kind, but this feels like such a downgrade. What would you say? I say, we're not enemies. We've never been enemies, and I don't suspect we will ever be enemies. However, being friend means an extraordinary efforts in order to support each other. And that usually between a man and a woman could lead to expectations that is not conforming to a breakup and between two people who were in a relationship. And that just simply becomes a little bit overextending ourselves and expecting too much from our own human brains. We are not that capable of simply putting the emotional things that we've been engaged in aside and suddenly demote ourselves to a lower grade, a friendship. We were friends, and then we became boyfriend and girlfriends. Now, going back to friendship is going to be expected to become something else, which we don't intend to, because if we did, we had that opportunity. We failed on that. So I suggest we be cordial and helpful if we need to, but don't expect us to hang around or be like we were friends before we became boyfriend and girlfriends. I don't know what I said, but you can look at it when I upload it again, and that could be of use to you. Sorry guys, I don't have any recipes, all off the cuff. So, Juanpa says, male 24, Costa Rica, Croatia. I just changed your country almost. Juanpa says, sorry, Juanpa, male 25. Oh, you just grew 1 year in about a minute. All right. Juanpa says, Pura vida, Meran. Pura vida, Juanpa, dear. Thank you for being here. And Pura vida says, Meran, I'm sorry. Juanpa says, Pura vida, Meran, for you, what is the meaning of success? Different tangents. Natural things that for every human being, reasonable health and good health for family and yourself. And that's it. The rest are challenges of life. We will handle that, pretty much. Ability to keep balance, ability to keep things moving, ability to have good health. These are pretty much basics that one needs. The rest are just gravy. But we have been conditioned to think that these health and all that, it should be expected. Well, it's not the same many other places in the world. When people wake up in the morning and they've got bombs flooring, the ceilings to the floors, and it's on top of their heads, and people are sick and don't have medicine, or cold, don't have food, and they're being abused or being they're not safe, and they're not, there's so many things that when we don't have those things happening in our country, we forget what the meaning of happiness really is. If we constantly focus on the basics of life would be the basis of happiness, then we'll always be happy. Like reasonable health, something to eat, something to drink, some safe place to sleep, breathe. That's it. The rest of it is something we will handle. Give me my family, my friends' health, something to drink, something to eat, some safe place to sleep, be able to breathe, good air. The rest is just cosmetics. We can make that happen. Carpe Diem says, thank you, Meran, you're welcome. DC says, I really want to thank you. I was able to get over my first serious breakup over 1 year ago because of your wisdom. Breakup, yeah, I saw that, DC. And DC says, you are such a wonderful life coach for us in our most vulnerable moments. We appreciate what you do here for people. You're quite welcome. My pleasure. That makes it all worthwhile. Just don't forget, one thing I ask is that if you can, share the videos you like on your social media, or share the channel, the intro of the channel on your social media. Help people to know that you are, that this channel exists. There is a 2-minute video that I have that I would like to ask you if you would not mind to share this on your social media or chat rooms or wherever it is that you think it's appropriate, and you can do that. Here's the 2-minute video, 1 minute and 47-second video that promotes the channel, tells people a little bit about the channel. The rest of it is word of mouth. And if you guys needed to talk to me one-on-one on Skype on something that we couldn't handle here that is too public, then you go on my channel, on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com, mindthatseekstruth.com, and click on Talk to Mehran via Skype, or click on the Skype button that is rotating in the top right corner of the page, and make an appointment. And if you make a 1-hour appointment for the new clients, I add another hour. So we'll have 2 hours, 1 hour on me, on the same session, and then we can explore what's concerning you. And that would be one-on-one on Skype together. And DC says, great. All right. So looks like we've been here 1 hour and 50 minutes almost. And it's time for me to, and we've answered all the questions. It's time for me to wrap it up and say, I love you all. Thank you very much for being here. Share a thing or two with me, or allow me to share a thing or two with you. I look forward to talk to you guys again. And by the way, tomorrow, as usual, we will have, at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. Vancouver time, we will have our weekly live stream. This was just on a schedule extra that I thought, okay, it's raining out there. I can't go for a walk. And, and I thought I'll chill with you guys. So tomorrow at 1 p.m. we'll have a live talk, and hopefully at 9 p.m. we'll have another one for Asian countries and Australia and so on, because that would be the right time zone for them. So perhaps tomorrow at 1 o'clock Vancouver time you will join me again. Otherwise, maybe tomorrow at 9 p.m. or however, if not next week. In the meantime, thank you, Mona. I love you too. So look forward to talk to you again. And I love you all. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.